gentlemen, and welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from Carlsbad, California, where it's a little more peaceful, but not as peaceful as I thought it would be. I was mistaken on that one. Well, we all were, but that's okay. That's okay. I came here to kind of get away from the nonsense, and a couple of protests march right past where I'm staying right now. They were peaceful. It was a bunch of beach bros and betties, and there's about 100 of them. And they came by, and I'm like, oh my God, next time I'm going cabin in the woods is probably an option. So no, I don't have my beautiful background here. It's plain white, and I'm in the corner of an echoey living room. So apologies for that, but I am on the road. I decided to get out of Dodge for a little while, and it's not like the news doesn't stop happening. So Friday, right before we started our show, DC Comics decided to quit Diamond, which is pretty big news. And of course, we've had the real life news. I know there's bigger news going on out there, but we're gonna stay away from that as much as we can to try to offer you some escapism. Plus, I'm gonna talk about the stuff I know about, and I am not a political science major, or I know nothing about it because I didn't go to school. I was kicked out of 3 high schools. So there it is there. But the question I do have to ask, I wasn't going to tweet this because I didn't want to give them any ideas, but then I thought about it. I messaged a couple of other YouTubers about this, and I thought about it, and maybe, just maybe, it might turn out to be a good thing. So don't you find the TARDIS problematic? I do. The TARDIS is very problematic because it has the word police box. Police box. Can't have that. Can't have that. So they might have to remove the police box TARDIS from Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who, which is the only recognizable thing about her show. So it might be a win-win for everybody. That's for my first thought. I hate to put the idea out there, but it was going to happen eventually anyway. So maybe somebody's talked about it already. But as I was getting the show prepared, I was looking over some articles today. I was like, oh, can't have police box. So what do you guys got to say here? And, look, my images. I had to see. You know, when you travel, sometimes you don't have, I'll use my I statements, my stuff set up right. So I don't want to be blocking any of your wonderful chat. So let's see who's here. We've got, here, I'll go to my chat here. We've got Angel. We've got Code Monkey. We've got People's Front of Canada. We've got Keck44, Mikey Woods and his wrench, Skeletal Bassman, Skeletal Bassman. I don't know, it could be bass or bass, really. The Gay Rascal, rascally boy or girl, who knows. Stuff of Other Things, Robert Quinn. Khalil, we got Stefan, we got Justin Whitlock, and Punkster, and Stellar Heather and a wrench. What's up? And Peter DeRosa, and the Anime Slayer. Hail, Anime Slayer. Welcome to the show, everyone. And the show must go on even when I'm on a bit of a vacation. This really isn't a vacation, though. This is I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission for Cal Exit. Now, to be clear, this is going to take a year, but some things might happen immediately. And of course, there's problems with my kid's school that I'm not going to bore you with at all. But considering that I have been wanting to leave that city anyway, all the problems in that city are going to get exacerbated because politicians rarely handle anything quickly or in a unifying manner. So that's an issue for me personally, and I am just thinking about my kids, my family, and because that's all I can think about. That's all I have control over right now. So I hope the volume of the mic is okay. And you got the notice to my stream, the Saint. That is good. That is good. Let me know if the volume's okay. I know it's echoey, and I can't do much about that. So I am in Carlsbad, California, which is 30 miles north of San Diego, where I grew up. I grew up in this town. I mostly hung out in Encinitas, but this is where I grew up. From the time I was 5 to the time I left San Francisco, I lived here in North County. It's a great place to live. The weather's usually 75 to 80 degrees every day. The people are pretty chill. There's some pretty decent comic stores, and yes, the stores are open, and that's another reason why I'm down here. I am going to Southern California Comics today, right after this show. I'm going there to help out a comic shop directly with a fair exchange of a cheddar for some goods, because that's how we do it. That's how capitalism works. So, but we do have an article to go over. We're going to wait till some more people come in because Doctor Who is become a complete joke, just like the comic book industry. So we'll go over that article a little bit later. I know Az did a great video on it, and hail to Az. Heel versus Babyface has been a great addition to Friday Night Tights, and we possibly have a new intro to show you guys soon. I can't release it yet because it's just in demo form, but it's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good in my opinion. So while people are rolling in, if you didn't watch Friday Night Tights, and I've had more time to think about it, and I've seen some reactions from some current retailers and former retailers as far as DC Comics leaving Diamond, which is, I mean, you cannot sell this thing short. It is a massive, massive blow to Diamond Comics distributors. That is 30% of their business just left, and it's leaving in 3 weeks. Steve Jeppy, the owner of Diamond Comics Distributor, had said, well, he had to shut down immediately during the beer bug, for safety, and it also, solvency. We have to talk about solvency. So how much liquid does Diamond actually have? Now, it's been rumored for a long time, and I cannot verify this, that Diamond has had troubles. Now, Steve Jeppy has talked about that happening in the past, but not about anything recent. But that's always been out there. And, the comic industry, it was in hospice anyway prior to this, despite what anybody says. You have to realize that a lot, the comic shop owners, the people who work in the industry, they work in the industry. So they are not, I wouldn't say they're not the most, they're credible opinions, but their emotions are wrapped up in this. And there is fear. There is fear of losing their job. So, of course, they're going to always look on the bright side and maybe stay in denial about a few things. And I think the entire industry has been in denial for 2 decades, because there's a very serious problem out there. Like there's a lot of serious problems in the world right now that need to be addressed. All right, and not addressed with violence, anger, and emotion, but eventually addressed with calm, sane, and with an adult approach. I know the comic industry is filled with a bunch of man children and women children, and that has been part of the problem. And not saying all, not all, of course, but we see the bad actors out there who have helped kill this industry. It's been a death by 1,000 paper cuts. All right. And there have been a lot of issues prior to the beer bug and prior to what's happened over the weekend, which I will argue was worse than the 3 months being shut down as far as the economy goes, as far as consumer confidence, which is important because comic books are a luxury item. You want to be a comfortable person to be able to afford comic books. You want to be very comfortable in your life, like everybody wants to be, like everybody wants their kids to be. We've worked very hard as a civilization to have more comfort. Are we perfect? Hell no. We are a long way from it, but I've always said one of the biggest problems in the industry, and I'm talking specifically about the industry, but this can go for a lot of other things, is gratitude. And not worrying so much about what other people have and don't have. Again, I'm speaking specifically for the comic book industry. And it's an industry that has a lot of people who don't want to be in it anymore, who have one foot out the door, want to go to Hollywood, or they just want to be there as an influence. They just want it there for their resume. They are not there because they love comics and they want to produce comic books. And I'm talking specifically about a lot of the creators at Marvel and DC, Image, IDW, and so on. There are publishers out there who still love comics. There are a lot of comic shop owners who still just love comics and want to sell comics and don't want any part of this garbage. And that's why they largely didn't get involved. They probably should have, and this is a lesson to be learned. They did try at one point, and they were shamed. They were shamed. If you remember, and we talked about it Friday night, it was 2018. There was a retailer summit, and some shop owners spoke up and said, listen, with what the big changes you've been making, especially with the all-new, all-different Marvel, specifically changing characters like Tony Stark to Ironheart and Captain America to Sam Wilson Falcon, you're doing too much too quickly, and the customers aren't liking it, and they're not buying it. And David Gabriel from Marvel came out and said, well, I guess the retailers just aren't ready for inclusivity and diversity, which couldn't be further from the truth. That was a disingenuous argument, that the nuance was even lost on people who agree with them, and they attacked David Gabriel for making that statement, which shows you largely nuance is dead, especially on Twitter. And they kind of clammed up after that. Because why bother dealing with the backlash? Well, I would hate to see anybody make any kind of business decision based on Twitter, period. We're seeing a lot of that now, but Twitter is not the real world, thankfully, and that is nowhere where you should be making a business decision. Now, if you want to listen to the fans, check in once in a while, sure. I did the same thing, but DC has done this in the past. They have made creative decisions based on online backlash, and it's sometimes it's been for good, sometimes it's been for bad, but you never want to make, especially as a small business owner, your margins are so thin anyway with the comic shop. You have to think about every decision you make, and you can't make an emotional decision. And a lot of people are confusing what DC did right now or they're thinking it's an emotional decision when it wasn't. This was something they thought about. It was purely a business decision. And while I think the timing of it sucked, I'll be honest with you, I think the timing of it sucked. That is just no way. But I believe that they had to make this announcement now because it was from up on high. And I think a lot of comic shop owners believe that as well. And they were forced into this decision at this time. Why were they forced into this decision? Because of what came before. Which is what they said in their statement, in their frequently asked questions portion. They said this is not a sustainable business model. And everybody knew that. I think a lot of people expected back in the early days when Diamond took over that they would eventually have some sort of competition. It never happened. When you have companies who don't have the desire to have competition against Diamond because everything's so comfortable, but most importantly, there's no money to be made. There's no money to be made. That's why there was never any competition for Diamond. That should tell you it was an industry on hospice. It was one of the strangest industries I've ever seen. It did work as a niche for a long, long time, but it also proved it was broken during the last 10 years when we had billion-dollar movies out there. Goddamn, Captain Marvel made $1 billion, but you couldn't sell a Captain Marvel comic book, which I would say, as far as Marvel comic books over the last 10 years, that was the best represented comic book character as it relates to comic books and film. Unfortunately, she's unlikable in comics and film equally. So Tony Stark's Iron Man was great, but he's been in and out of his own book over the last few years quite a bit. We've had Captain America die. We've had Peter Parker, kind of die. He was taken over by Dr. Octopus for a while, so we've had a lot. The comic books were never really in sync with the movies, and that never trickled down. And I've told the story a bunch of times that when it started out, it wasn't that way. The Iron Man movie really did relate to Iron Man comic book sales. In the beginning, it was great, But when Disney took over, it went downhill. And I knew it would. And I think a lot of you guys did too. We had to wait to see it happen, and it eventually did. So, yeah, I don't know what to say at this point other than DC had to make this decision, and I think we need to look ahead now. And if we look ahead, think about what they're going with. They're going with 3 distributors. They're going with Penguin, Random House, and Lunar. And I forgot the name of the other one. It's UCBS or something like that. And two of them are connected to comic shops, so they're starting up. But apparently, they send out the stuff early, sometime, on time at the very least. It's packaged well. It's just more expensive. And there is that trade-off. But think about it. They're selling smaller, or they're not shipping as much as Diamond, but they're shipping it, wrapped in bubble wrap. The quality is better, which leads me to believe that this is the true beginning of the end of the pamphlet, of the funny book, of the comic book. DC started that. I think that was happening a long time before that, but they kicked it in gear. And eventually we'll see, I don't know, more prestige format. I don't know if the weekly comic book is going to even be a thing anymore. I think there'll still be deliveries every week, just like there was at the video store and at the bookstore, but it won't be a weekly, monthly book. And I think we're seeing that change right now. Marvel's been quiet. They have greatly reduced what they're going to release, and we'll see what happens there. And the question remains, is Diamond going to remain solvent in this point? How much liquid do they have? They required a loan to stay in business, and now they just lost 30% of their business. Now, these questions are starting to be asked, and they're being talked about, but what isn't and what hasn't been talked about and what won't be talked about is what was a major factor in this, which was the creative community within Marvel and DC, their treatment of the fans and how many people they drove away. And we'll never know the number. We'll never know. But we will know eventually when it all dies. If that was the case. Now, they're not doing a lot of things to bring people to comics. Diamond put out their Back the Comeback, but it was just a sticker. That's all it was, a sticker and a letter. The comic industry needs a lot more than that, and I will mention again, Back the Comeback needs to mention comic book. One of the dumbest campaigns I've ever seen, but it's not surprising coming from Diamond. And listen, Steve Geppi might be the nicest guy in the world. I have no idea. But I think... when you see somebody talking about this, like Zach, like your boy Zach, we're outside. Well, he's not an outsider. He's in the industry, but prior he was an outsider. I'm an outsider now. I'm not a comics pro. Very happy to be an outsider. And when I open up a new shop, I will remain an outsider because it was eye-opening to see the industry with a fresh set of eyes. I separated myself for a couple of years and I look back on it and, I have no skin in the game, so I can look at this impartially as I could. I have great empathy towards shop owners, but they own some responsibility in this. And, I did too. I was one of those people who fought tooth and nail against digital. All right. And it was for straight up selfish reasons. I felt like I couldn't compete selling a $4.99 comic compared to a $1 book for digital or an $8 subscription, and you get access to everything. Now in hindsight, I shouldn't have worried about that, because if you want the physical media, if you want the experience of holding a comic book, which most people want, then I should have had confidence. And looking back on it, it probably did hurt. It probably did hurt, because if you have more people reading, no matter what, that will bring more people in buying your comics. I think the number of people coming in to buy comics because they had more access to it through digital would have outweighed what you would have lost. Because I feel like you would have lost those people anyway. Like the people who are pirating books, they're going to pirate books anyway. They're not going to buy books if and maybe they will eventually. Maybe they're in a bad spot. Maybe they're a student and they can't afford $4.99 comic books. But eventually, if they keep reading, they will. And that's why I've always been for having comic books in 7-Elevens and Walmarts. And, more comic books is more comic books, which means more readers, which means more shops. Shops grew. We got more shops because we had access to more comics in the 70s and 80s. And when the direct market came down, and after the boom of the 90s, the number of shops has just steadily shrunk. And the entire industry has stagnated. It hasn't even grown at the rate of inflation. So of course it's dying right now. And AT&T takes over. They have a pragmatic approach towards everything, which is good. And they said earlier that nothing is sacred. And DC Comics isn't probably a tick on a dog's ass. I mean, it's nothing. Or a flea. Tick would be noticeable. Bad analogy. But Chris Stanley, thank you for the $2 super chat. Hail, Gary. Hail, chat. Hail, everyone. So am I happy about it? No. Am I surprised? Not at all. Ethan Van Sciver ran with this, I don't want to say a year ago, 7 months ago. He said this was going to happen. It's not like he doesn't talk to people within the industry. Of course, it was met with denial. When I was saying the comic shop industry was dying a year ago, it was met with denial. When Clownfish TV was saying it, it was met with denial. The Comics Beat were going after us. Rich Johnston, doing his thing, his passive-aggressive little swipes at Bleeding Cool. And now here it is. And it's been here for a while, and we still saw denial, but this is waking a lot of people up. It was very interesting on one of Dan Shaheen's live streams last week. He talked to a couple retailers, and one of them had been open since May 1st. I don't know what state he was in, to be honest with you. But he said, I've lost the weekly customer. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said, I've lost the weekly customer. It's over. It's over. Now, you can still survive as a comic shop owner. You have to drastically change your format. You have to kind of go back to what comic shops used to be. Comic shops did not used to be a place where you bought new comics. When they started out, they were the place where you bought back issues. And, they were vintage shops. They would have vinyl. Some of them would have clothes, toys. That's what they started out, and that's the model that still works to this very day. Now, can it work? Are we going to get new comic shops? No, we're not going to get the number. The number's not going to grow. We're not going to see the industry grow. It had its chance. It just blew it. And everybody has to share the blame in this. The comic shop owners who wanted stuff to remain the same and who didn't want to change. Diamond, who didn't want to innovate because they had no competition, so they had no reason to. And, of course, Marvel and DC, their predatory practices towards retailers with multiple variants, creatives attacking fans, all those factors played into what's happening right now. And, it's weird. We see with AT&T, we see old Warner Brothers stuff still happening, like removing guns from Looney Tunes cartoons and Birds of Prey. But then we see release the Snyder Cut, and we see this decision with the comic shop. So I don't know what we're going to get from AT&T. They are in a lot of debt, as is Disney. And I would say Disney's in worse shape than AT&T. AT&T was obviously a big communications company that relied on cable, a dying model. So they had to buy something to survive, and they bought something with debt. So it's going to get consolidated down, just like the streaming wars, to, there'll be less corporations in charge of more things, which is never good. But now it's out of necessity, and it makes you look back on all the buyouts earlier that the government should have said no to, in my opinion, my humble opinion. And it's affecting everything, and it's affecting a lot. Small businesses have completely got kicked in the nuts repeatedly over the last 3 months by the government, by some people, by giant corporations. And I don't know how many are going to spring up and to replace some of these. I don't think a lot. I'm going to do my best. But the economy is changing right before our eyes. And as far as the physical floppy comic book, its days are truly numbered. I give it, I don't know, as it stands right now, unless things drastically change and we see an upswing, I give it a year, maybe 2. I would think that Marvel and DC should have done what a lot of comic shop owners, what a lot of small business owners have been doing. Planning, not waiting for the government to respond because they aren't going to in time. There's a lot of you who have places that have opened up, and great. Wish I was there. San Francisco has my wife's salon shut down for 5 more weeks when there are salons open right here. Does that mean everything is safe and okay? No, of course not. But you know what? We have to move on. We have to do things responsibly, and keeping safety and client safety in mind, of course. But it's frustrating. So a lot of the shops have decided to change their business models, and they've survived, and they do what entrepreneurs do, and good for them. Good for them. Marvel and DC should have been planning too. I'm not against the crossover event. Do a crossover event. Do something. Jim Lee could have drawn a comic book instead of sketches where pennies on the dollar go to actual shops. Drawn a comic book written by, I don't know, pick somebody. Pick Alan Moore. Alan Moore drawing a Jim Lee comic that can really back the comeback. Make it $10. Go ahead this time. Do variants. Do something crazy. Make it a major event. And do across the board grand opening, even with shops who can't, you can, I don't know, do curbside, do something, and get this thing energized again. We need something positive. Instead, they were thinking about whether or not they should stay in business or not. And that's Marvel and DC. That should tell you all you need to know. Eric K. for $2 says, no protests here and plenty of room for Gary. Thank you, my friend. I will not dox where you are, but I appreciate that, and who knows? I tell you what, Airbnbs are pretty cheap right now. We got a nice one. I'm very close to the ocean. I am very, very close to the ocean. So there you go. So DCG for $2.79 Canadian asks where I am in Carlsbad, California. I grew up in, it's not a town, it's a neighborhood called La Costa. I grew up on the south side of the golf course, okay? It's rough there. No, that's where I grew up till I was 15. I did not live at my parents' house after that. I was booted pretty early. 3 high schools. I guess you didn't make it to the prom. Matt G for $2. I went to 4 proms and none of them were at my high school. I was asked out all 4 times too by the ladies out there. It's a good time. Oh, there's an account, T Louis 2. That is brilliant. For $2. Coming to Arizona this trip, we'll take a long lunch. Not this trip. My next trip is the Southwest trip. This was impromptu. This happened a little quicker. That's why I was not prepared today. I didn't even realize I had to download Photoshop so I could make the thumbnail, which took way too long. So sorry that was late. We'll have to see. A lot of comic shops are going to be able to adapt and survive because they have smart people running them. And you probably have one in your neighborhood. So again, I am not dancing on the graves of any comic shops, but I am, yes, this time I'm going to do, because I'm not that kind of person. I freaking told you so. And so did so many other people. I brought this up at retailer summits, and I brought up like, hey, why we still don't have an answer on returnability. Like even the shop owners have given up on it. Okay. So if you've given up on returnability with the pamphlet, if you've given up printing it on cheaper paper, then give up on it. You just broke the habit for pretty much everybody, unless you're the hardcore of the hardcore fans. The habit has been broken, and you had an entire industry that was dependent on people having a habit, not really loving it, not really enjoying it, because the stories haven't been that great. Of course, some comic books were still good. Marvel was turning things around. And that's all we asked. They still made political comics, but they were getting better with some books. DC was getting better. Now, 5G would have been a total disaster, and I think that's what AT&T took one look at it and fired Dan Didio. So things were getting better. Things were getting better in pop culture. Listen, overall, what comic books are supposed to be, what they are still supposed to do, just like with a TV show, just like with a movie, first and foremost is to make money and entertain. Make money first, entertain second. And then everything happens after that. You have your categories, which are, the blockbuster film or the crossover event comic book. And as you go down to each section or category, you can have your political comic book. You can have political commentary, certainly within a book, told through allegory. If you really want to teach a lesson, you want to try to tell your story to the most people possible without alienating people. Hollywood and the comic book industry and the BBC just decided not to do that anymore. And they really have played a big part in the divisiveness going on in this country right now. Were there good intentions behind some of it? Sure. Were there bad intentions behind a lot of it? Absolutely. Was it a coordinated event? No, I think, well, not at first. Not sure now. But at first, I think it was just you got rid of a lot of people who disagreed with you. A lot of gatekeeping, got rid of a lot of people, and it turned into a giant echo chamber. The smug was thick. And we will get to Doctor Who. We absolutely will get to Doctor Who. T. Louis 2. There's an account for T. Louis 2. Nicholas Horton, thank you for the $1.49 phallic unicorn. Thank you very much. Now, when I sent my family down here, I specifically told Mrs. Nerdrotic, because she was taking my son, my youngest son, who's over there in that room. I said, I don't want you driving through downtown LA. Nothing's going to probably happen, but you're not in a hurry. Drive around it. So there's a way to drive around it. You go south, you hit the 210, and you go through Chino Hills, and you go around greater Los Angeles. Well, I decided not to. I decided to drive right through the middle of LA, which I did. And I did see some protesting, but it wasn't bad. But there was one point where as soon as I hit the 405, like 40 cop cars going the other way. I mean, I counted past 30, so I couldn't count. I was driving, obviously, but I was like, holy shit, what the hell? So yeah, things were still going on when I was driving down. It's pretty peaceful down here for the most part. And again, most everything is open. Comic shops are open. They don't have a curfew here. I do want to express my greatest sympathies to Crazy Fred's Comics down in La Mesa, California. I haven't checked on an update with him. He suffered some major damage. Now, he had he heard his window had broken, right? So he got the call from security. His people got down there to remove a lot of the valuables, which was smart and potentially dangerous. And they were looted. And he said, on top of the beer bug and this, I'm not sure if it's even possible. It would be possible if Marvel and DC, both together, had something to give the comic shops. I know everybody had to wait and see, but DC, at least to their credit, and they were highly criticized for this, kept their people working. I think in hindsight, that was a great idea. A lot of shops had to shut down due to their governments, all right? It wasn't Diamond's fault or DC's fault or Marvel's fault. But let's not forget what preceded DC quitting Diamond was Diamond quitting DC. It was temporarily, but they put DC and Marvel on a timeout, and they also told them they couldn't pay them. What are you going to do? What are you going to do at that point? The future's uncertain and the end is always near, in the words of Jim Morrison, and you have to make decisions based on that business-wise. So again, bad timing, but I understand the decision. Now, if you're a comic shop who is saying, I'm not going to carry DC Comics anymore, that is dumb. That is a flat-out dumb, emotional decision. Just think about how many Batman fans you have in the shop. And while they might express solidarity, they will also go to the competing shop to buy their Batman books. And eventually you will lose that person to that shop. So however emotional you feel, yeah, you know what, DC, did they fuck you over, or did they make a business decision? You got to work that out for yourself. I would probably be mad too, but I would still sell DC Comics. I will still have a DC section. Yes, DC Comics will be or your profit margin's going to go down. So, you know, that's going to hurt them. And I think eventually they will find a way to bring the discounts down. They've just started with a new distributor. So if you maybe talk to them and give them time, we'll see. Maybe they don't want to talk to you. Maybe they're blowing you off. And that is kind of a dick move. But we'll see. I am of the belief that they are just getting ready to call it. So I think that's a reality that every comic shop owner needs to seriously think about this morning, yesterday, that they are phasing the funny book out. It has started without question. Look at the distributors they're going with. Look at the day they're going with distributing comics, which is Tuesday. The writing is on the wall. The red flags are up. They are getting rid of the floppy. It's done. It's not a sustainable business model. Now, it absolutely can be, but they're not willing to go through the effort to do that. So comic books will still be around. You're going to have to go to Indiegogo. You're going to have to go to Peter Samedi. You're going to have to go to other places that are going to eventually, you're going to see more publishers break away from Diamond now that DC has done it. And who knows what Marvel's going to do. Who knows? I haven't heard from a lot, little birdies lately from inside certain places. I've heard from Doctor Who. I've talked about it in a live stream before, but I do have a rumor that I will throw out there someday in a video. But I did hear from some little birdies about Marvel, and there is trouble. Contraction is real. Contraction is happening. So they are going to lessen the amount of titles they put out, and they are in trouble too because Disney's in trouble. And it's pretty obvious. It wouldn't take a genius to figure that out. I'm not a genius, and I figured it out. So, hi, Gary. I did a stream, and it vanished afterwards. Sent an email with details, hoping you could help. Also, your background is so white, it's problematic. I know, Mr. Gentleman, and I'm sorry. I do have my color balls with me to try to add an accent to it, but it didn't really work. My color balls. I have two of them. My two color balls. Home Depot, I bought them at. Yeah, there's not much I can do. I don't have a green screen. I'm going to probably bring one next time so I can have my background. Let's get to a couple super chats. Then we'll talk about, we'll take some questions on this, and we'll go to Doctor Who. And thanks everyone for joining today. I do appreciate it. I apologize you don't have the lovely background that I spent. You know how much time I spent on that? I have had the concept in my head of having a podcast room at my house since 2009. So we're talking 10 years. It's an idea that flew in my head once I saw that podcasting was a thing. I used to do podcasting from my shop. The podcast was called We Have Issues. All the podcasts were on a website called podcast.com. Then podcast.com went away, and it took all of my podcasts. Now I have a broken hard drive with all of those old podcasts, including the one where we had an emergency podcast where I got all my employees and a couple of other shop people to come over, and we talked about Disney buying Marvel. And a lot of the predictions came to be. So I am probably going to get that hard drive fixed and see if see how many of those predictions were spot on. Because the way I remember it, they were. So I had been thinking about this for a long time. So I had built a room before, tore it down, and built a new one. That one took me 3 years to put together. 3 years. Rory O'Connor. 5 pounds. They killed Star Wars, they killed Star Trek, and they killed Doctor Who. Heartbroken. Yeah, absolutely. One of the original titles of this live stream that I typed in before I said the TARDIS is next is R.I.P. Doctor Who was never a joke. It was never a joke. It was never meant, it was never put out there to troll anyone. It was how I truly felt about Doctor Who. It's how you truly felt about Doctor Who. We are grieving. We are grieving the loss of a uniting show, of a truly uniting show that the BBC hates now. I made that pretty clear in all of my videos, as well, and so did Critical Drinker and Bowles Trek. Hail Bowles Trek. He's been working a lot. That's why he can't put out a lot of content. So hail Bowles Trek. And Starry. We're grieving a show that brought everybody together, all makes and sizes. And it's sad. It's sad. And now it's a joke. So R.I.P. Doctor Who was never meant to be a joke, but the show is. The show is nothing but a joke now. And to repeat what I said earlier in the show, don't you find it problematic that the TARDIS has the word police on it? I think so. Watch. Wait. I just when I thought of it, I'm like, oh, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. And I did message a couple of YouTubers. And, I messaged a couple of YouTubers. I'll just say that. And it's just a matter of time, I think. Till it just says phone box or something. We'll see. But that could be a good thing. Maybe they'll change the TARDIS altogether. That's the only recognizable thing in that show. And if they remove it, it's kind of a win-win. It is. Both the He-Man and James Bond franchises are next to be destroyed. Nicholas Horton, yes, for £5. I did a video, Nicholas. I'm sure you saw it. You've been around forever, so thank you. It was great talking to you in the member stream. Last summer, and it said hashtag me too, and in two, I turned it to 007, and it was an article written, I can't remember what paper it was over in the UK, but it was a woman being on the side of a masculine James Bond. It was one of the best articles I've ever read. I think she was secretly Fandom Menace or something, but damn, it was a good article. The video still gets views to this day. They are going to come after it next. Absolutely. Absolutely. Create new franchises. That's what we've always said. If you really, really, really want to show you are about unity, about the communities you talk about, then you create a new character, build them from scratch, invest the time and money needed to make it the best character you possibly can, hire the best writers, the best directors, the best producers, give it a real budget, and people will show up. Doctor Who fans would have loved another show in that universe, a Romana show. You get the best, the best actress for the role. You get the best directors, the best writers. You would just make more money. But that's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to replace something because that past was problematic. Now, that problematic past to the BBC, they have no problem with it when it comes to licensing Doctor Who. Now, they make a lot of money licensing prior Doctor Who, classic and neoclassic Doctor Who. So much so that they haven't needed to produce as many toys because they've been living off David Tennant for a long, long time. But that is starting to wear thin. They do need licensed products, t-shirts, toys. Those sales are in the crapper. And I know this for a fact. So when the time comes, hopefully I can show you the real data that I have seen. And I assume it is, unless somebody doctored this, which I don't know if my friend would do that. So hopefully someday I can show you what I've seen. Now, I think it's pretty obvious. You could just look out in the real world and notice that stores that used to carry Doctor Who merchandise, that shit is gone. It's gone. Here in the States, it was never, it's always been in comic shops. But there was a time I could go to Walgreens. It's a drugstore chain here in California, and particularly in the Bay Area, they are everywhere. There is one on damn near every corner. You need to get your opiates. So Walgreens are everywhere. Kind of funny thing that around where I live, that was the only thing broken into, by the way. That was the only thing they looted was Walgreens. I wonder why. So maybe it was for the Doctor Who toys that used to be there, but they're not there anymore. But every Walgreens had Doctor Who toys. Doctor freaking Who toys in Walgreens. It blew my mind. I'm like, God dang, this is what the BBC has wanted forever. They wanted Doctor Who to be their Doctor Who still, but still be popular around the world. And they had it. And they freaking blew it because they don't care. And now those toys are gone. They used to be in Toys R Us. Well, Toys R Us is gone. Good luck if you're going to find a Doctor Who merchandise in a comic shop. Maybe a pop vinyl. Maybe a sonic screwdriver. Barnes & Noble used to have a Doctor Who end cap, basically. An end cap is what's at the end of an aisle. And they had this Doctor Who end cap where you can get a TARDIS, a couple of figures. Then they would have the Blu-rays and stuff. All that's gone. But it's yeah. Oh, and then those ratings. Those ratings, which, I mean, even now, they're denying this stuff. Now, I guess they stopped the Doctor Who watch-alongs because of what's going on. And the episode that they picked was pilot. I can imagine that not a lot of people wanted to watch season 10 anyway, because it's pretty bad. I love Capaldi, but maybe I'll go back and edit like some of his best performances and just watch that, so I don't have to watch entire episodes. Maybe like a video montage of what could have been with Capaldi. Yeah, with female-centric He-Man and Jane Bond. Yeah. But Kevin Smith still denies it to this very day, that it's not going to be female-centric. What do you want to bet? That's not entirely true. Steve Carter for $5 to help with the local comic shops. All hail Gary. Thank you. I will be spending money at a comic shop. Is spending money on a luxury item wise right now? I like comics, and I'm going to go support my friend Jamie Newbold, who owns Southern California Comics. And if you're ever in San Diego and you're looking for a comic shop, go to Southern California Comics. Best back issue selection in California, outside of Frank & Sons, which is a mini con that they do every weekend. I don't know if it's daily now, up in LA. But I told Jamie, I messaged Jamie, and I said, you're going to get some of my Comic-Con money. He's all, I've been getting everybody's Comic-Con money. So I'm all, yes, capitalism. Homer Simpson is a member at the proto-molecule level. Hail. Thank you, my friend. I'm going to take a sip of coffee for the working men and women out there. Cheers. Cheers. Quartering was admiring your beard. Yes, I saw that, Mark Santos for $2. Thank you to Jeremy at the Quartering for the shout out and for the nice comment about the beard, which has been trimmed. You can see I did get a haircut, a black market haircut from Mrs. Nerdrotic. And it just jumped on me. Hang on a second. Let's read a couple more, and we're going to go over this article. Az did a video on it. Please go check it out when you get a chance. Peter DeRosa for $9.99 took a trip to my local comic shop yesterday and spoke with the owner. He seemed indifferent to the DC news. Maybe he hides it well, or do some owners just not care? A lot of owners will sound like they don't care. As far as indifferent how? Like, whatever, I'm still going to order DC Comics? I mean, what choice does he have? I think that's probably a very pragmatic approach to it. That's what you would have to do. It's like, I'm just going to order DC from somewhere else now. It's going to be a little extra work, so what? The important thing is getting my customers what they want, listening to my customers. What my emotions don't matter. My customers' needs don't care about my feelings. So that's a good approach, I think, as long as he's still ordering DC Comics. But Peter, this can't be undersold. And I think what a lot of comic shop owners have skin in the game. So, and they've been through a lot. So of course there's probably a lot in flat out denial. I'm not saying your comic shop owner is, but this is something that has to be dealt with. And if you don't deal with, then, I mean, don't cry later. Don't. Because you had your chance. You've had a lot of chances to change and evolve. And this is one of them. Comic books, DC comic books are going to cost you more money. You're going to make less money on comic books, but the same amount of people are still going to want them. So you're just going to have to sell them and try to make up for it elsewhere. Hey, Gary, hope things are get better for you. Hey, Chris Mead for $2. Things are, listen, in my direct life, I'm happy. It's tough watching my wife go through what she, with her salon, being a forced shutdown at this point. We played along. We were good citizens. We listened to our government. We want our fellow citizen to remain safe. We do not want any harm to happen to anybody at all. So we played along, and now it's pretty clear that the thing is still out there, and it's something we're just going to have to literally work through at this point. That's my opinion on it. And the people at risk are going to have to stay inside and stuff. But people who have to get to work, practice your social distancing. And there's a lot of changes she has to make when she goes back. She cannot be at full capacity. She cannot bring back all her employees at once. It might have to be staggered days and stuff like that because she runs a salon. So, yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's tough seeing her go through that. But you know what? Mrs. Nerdrotic doesn't sit around and wait for politicians to save her. She doesn't. She has found ways to make cheddar because she's an entrepreneur. Thanks, Chris Mead. DCG for $2.79 Canadian. Would you trust buying graded comics off eBay? Yeah. Well, I mean, if they're CGC'd, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if they're sealed, there is a way to break the seal and put it back together, but that's a lot of work, and you risk. It's not easy. But for the most part, I would. Just make sure your seller has a lot of good feedback and read the feedback. But for the most part, CGC books, I mean, I've offered CGC. I own some CGC books, which are graded books. They're sealed in plastic and they're officially graded. Never been a big fan of it. I've never been a big fan of sending somebody else's books across the country to Florida and then waiting months to get them back. I've always thought they should have a West Coast warehouse. They never did. And they can slab on site so they can do stuff faster, but I've never been the biggest fan of it myself. I like to pick up my comic books and open them. And yes, my Amazing Fantasy 15 is not CGC'd, and I have touched it and opened it because I can. Of course, I wear little rubber gloves and stuff, but yes, I have touched it and opened it. Viking Man 65 for $5. Hail Beaks, your channel is the best. Why, thank you. Will the breakup of the Diamond Monopoly result in more freedom, creativity one day at a time? One day at a time, back at you, Viking Man 65. Yes, the comic book industry will survive as a whole because people love comics and will make comics. Will it get smaller? Probably. And be more niche? Probably. That's probably the way it should have always been. But I used to think the Indiegogo campaigns going independent, that new model, so let's call it the new independent model. Because you hear a lot of critics out there going, Ethan Van Sciver and Richard did not invent crowdfunding. No, they didn't. But they did start the type of crowdfunding that they're doing right now, which is YouTube platform crowdfunding. Now, do I know for a fact if they're the very first? No, but they're the first ones I noticed. And it was a thing that just evolved out of necessity. So you're going to see a lot of people evolve out of competition and necessity. That's what people do. It's going to change. So it's probably going to be more like the book market. That would be my guess. Not my favorite thing. I love the weekly comic and the pamphlet and the funny book. Those are my favorite things. I don't own a ton of trades. I own a lot of comic books. I make my own trades out of comic books. They have those sleeve where you can those little vinyl boxes that you can put your comics in, and I put my own covers on them. That's what I do, and then you can put them on a bookshelf. So I think the Indiegogo, the new independent model, is a viable way to go if you're an up-and-coming creator who wants to sell your book. I don't think going to DC and Marvel is viable anymore. I don't think it has been for a long, long time. Your future will be to make $30,000 a year, be told what to do, be told what to write. It's kind of like what I discovered in Hollywood. When I went down there to edit, I found out I wasn't editing shit. I was being told what to edit. I was being told what to cut, where to cut it, and there was zero creativity. I am more creative on this channel than I ever was at Hollywood, doing my own thing. Wanting to get involved in genre, and it all starts with the love of Star Wars or Star Trek or Doctor Who, but honestly, making fan films, making fan comics, waste of time now. Make your own IP. Do it. That is the future. That is the absolute future. It's tough to build a platform, and sometimes you won't be able to do one. But if you get involved in the network, you have a chance. You have a chance, which you don't have a chance with DC and Marvel. Not anymore. And I would say the same for Hollywood. If you want to, Zach and the guys were talking about this on Friday Night Tights. And I will say that, one of the arguments I had about the Fandom Menace is, one of the criticisms towards the Fandom Menace is, all we do is complain and we don't offer an alternative. Well, we do, which is this. But we can't make Star Wars films and Star Trek TV shows without generating millions of dollars. Which, if somebody wants to go out there and try, that's cool. But I think that's a lot of money, and it's different with the comic book because it's usually one person that you're crowdfunding, and you're crowdfunding a project. It gets a little dicey with money, especially when it's millions of dollars. But if you want to make like an independent web series like Ian does with Rebecca Gold, hell yeah. Something like Reservoir Dogs, make an independent film. Sure. Absolutely. Try that. We're going to have to now because I'm pretty much Hollywood. Over the last week, I think a lot has changed. You guys know that. You all know that. You are very smart and beautiful people out there. Is Gary in the TARDIS? Zero duality. I am floating around in the TARDIS. Thank you for the $2 Canadian. Okay, let's go to the article, shall we? And I'll get back to the super chats momentarily. Hopefully everything's still set up. We will see. Yes, that's good. That is good. All right. Former Doctor Who showrunner changes regeneration rules. Former Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies has extended the Doctor's regeneration powers again, a more dramatic change than the Timeless Child. Now, how's he done this? This is heartbreaking to hear, but this is clown world we're living in now. Former Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies has just changed the show's regeneration rules again, and this time it's even bigger change than the Timeless Child. Current Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnall had promised Doctor Who Season 12 would make drastic and lasting changes to the show's lore. And he was right, as the season finale revealed the Doctor is no Time Lord at all. So there you go. The Doctor is no longer a Time Lord. A billion years ago, a Gallifreyan explorer named Tecteun discovered an abandoned child on a distant world near a mysterious boundary to another universe and dimension. She adopted the young girl and then killed her over and over again. Oh, that's not mentioned there. But sometime later, tragedy struck. The child fell from a great height, a fall that should have killed her. Instead, she regenerated. The first regeneration on Gallifrey, called the Timeless Child. This being became the base genetic code for the entire Time Lord race. It was basically appropriated. Unlike the Time Lords, however, the Timeless Child has an unlimited number of regenerations. It's a massive retcon, rewriting everything viewers knew about the Doctor's history and identity. And it was very much of a surprise for the Doctor Who, or for longtime Doctor Who fans. Now, not a mention of ratings dropping, fans leaving in droves, not a mention, freaking Screen Rant. Shilly shill shill. The Doctor's memory had been erased, but the Master discovered the truth while raiding the Matrix and delighted in taunting the Doctor with this revelation. Hear that word revelation, He-Man fans? He-Man, Masters of the Universe, revelation. Remember that. Remember that. Same thing is going to happen. Now, former Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies, who is not in charge of Doctor who is not an employee of the BBC, has retconned the Doctor's regeneration powers once again in a new animated short featuring David Tennant. The video stars Anna Hope reprising her role as Novus Haim, one of the cat nurses who appeared during the Tennant era. Okay, Novus Haim is dying of old age, expecting one last visit from the Doctor, who she appears to have studied. I've heard so many stories about him over the years. His hundreds of faces and forms, the men and women and animals who have taken that name, and yet the one who comes for me is so familiar. This one is mine. Okay, animals. How can the Doctor take the form of an animal if they are not conscious in the way humans are? If the Doctor can change into other alien forms, why not regenerate into a Dalek and destroy them from within? If you can choose who you regenerate into. There are so many questions now. The Doctor, the Time Lords were always human-based, okay? Proximity to the time vortex, all that stuff. But now it's like, whatever. Funsy onesie, we can, you know what? Why not regenerate into inanimate objects? Why not be a car? Why not be a dildo? I don't know. By the way, according to Emily Clark, these are not officially BBC sanctioned events. So, is this canon? Because a former showrunner wrote a story, one I respect, and at this point, what the hell? Russell T Davies had the best run of Doctor Who. It was some of the best TV ever made. And that won't take away from that. At this point, F it. Throw in dogs, throw in cats. What about semen? Sure. Oh, we can't have that. That's problematic. Novus Haim's comment would make no sense before Doctor Who Season 12. After all, there have been previously well-established limits to the Time Lord's ability and regeneration. Those limits have now been stripped away from the Doctor, meaning she has an unlimited number of lives. Thus, when Haim says that she knows of hundreds of different Doctors, there's no reason to assume she's wrong. In fact, it fits with an amazing gag from the Davies, the Sarah Jane Adventures, which is a kid-friendly Doctor Who spinoff. In the show, the Matt Smith Doctor claimed to have 507 regenerations. Which is the only Matt Smith thing, Davies project he's appeared in for Doctor Who. Listen, they are trying very hard. It's a one-off comment in a Sarah Jane Adventures. One-off comment does not erase established history. By the way, there's an article in The Sun where Stephen Moffat, some stuff was taken. Stephen Moffat was especially guilty of all this shite, of putting stuff in there willy-nilly. And that's what started alienating people from the beginning, by the way. So, listen, it doesn't, right now you can take this as a troll. Like, F it. There's hundreds of Doctors. Let's make it animals. Plants. Why not plants? Why not? Because the show is broken at this point. You just broke the canon. And it's really, what it is now is a little kiddie show. You might as well make it like a little show like Teen Titans is now. Like a little cutesy kiddie show. Because that's what you've turned it into. Which, by the way, it never was. The way we treat our adults, the way the BBC sees are adults right now, they see you all as little kiddies anyway, especially certain groups. Novus Haim also suggests the Doctor can change her. The Doctor can change her form as well as her face. She refers to men and women and animals. It appears the Doctor can actually change her species when she regenerates. This power is presumably not shared by the Time Lords, who have never been seen as in exotic forms. Thus, Davy has implicitly suggested the Doctor's regeneration ability outstrips the Time Lords in every possible way. It's safe to assume there is still a limit to the Doctor's regeneration ability. Why? Why is it safe to assume that? Because you want to assume that? Because it's still... They just broke Doctor Who. I mean, keep doing it. I am still making my peace with it. It's still the one that pissed me off the most, more than anything. But I'm going to move on. I'm going to enjoy my other Doctor Who. And it's... Now it's in the hands of an American company that you made a deal with that is cutting things left and right, BBC. HBO Max is now owned by AT&T. You did not make a deal with AT&T. You made a deal with Warner Brothers. AT&T might be ending DC Comics. Do you think they give a wet slap about a show that's going to be in the back corner of one of their streaming services that's not going to get anything new for 2 years? The only thing, we're getting one more Doctor Who episode, unfortunately, this Christmas. I'm kind of surprised they didn't release it earlier, but oh well. They're going to need some content for later. So when HBO Max is here now, folks, and it had a rough start. I don't mind it. I don't have Roku. I think it's stupid that it's not on Roku. I think it's dumb. But it has Spawn. It has Spawn, the animated series. I found that out last night. I was like, oh, shit, yeah. And it's going to have the Snyder Cut. And it seems to me that they listen to fans. And if you go on Twitter right now, unless it's changed in the last 24 hours, if you type in hashtag RIP Doctor Who, it still autofills. It still autofills after all this time. So RIP Doctor Who is real. It's not a joke. A lot of fans who didn't agree with us now agree with us because they finally got through the bullshit of the Access Media and the BBC and their narrative. And they realized that RIP Doctor Who is filled with lifelong Doctor Who fans. There is no alt-right Doctor Who fans. There is no alt-right Star Trek fans. It's not a Russian bot, whatever, an op. It is real fans who are pissed off because they just want you to respect their character. By all means, bring new faces in, new voices, as you say. Make a whole damn new TV show. Well, it's too late for that now. Now your core show is dead. You had a chance to broaden things if you really believed in that shit, which you don't. And you couldn't have made it more clear with your garbage that you put up over the last 2 seasons. And yes, we can criticize fictional TV shows, and it doesn't make you any ist or phobe, and you don't have to ever defend yourself on that stuff. If people are out there, if that's their argument, if that's their counter argument against you for not liking a TV show, they've lost. They've lost. That's like when somebody, when you're arguing with somebody and they just drop an F you won the argument right there. It's equal to that. The Chibnall era has expanded Doctor Who's mythology. No, it's crapped all over it and then peed on the corpse and then set the corpse on fire and then dropped it in a tub of acid, like Breaking Bad style, is in unexpected ways. Chibnall has retconned the Doctor's regenerative abilities, and he's introduced Jodie Whittaker, the first female Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, who's now not the first female Doctor, who we will lovingly call Dr. Karen, as the first female Doctor, and Joe Martin as the first Black Doctor. Assumingly, though, Russell T Davies has just gone one step further, revealing the Doctor doesn't even have to look like a human. It also looks like a competition to come up with the most regenerative retcons, and Chibnall's Doctor Who season 13 may offer the next one. Well, are you sure it's going to come out? Are we sure anything's going to come out right now? I don't know. Force majeure is the thing we have over here in the States, which is acts of God, and you could terminate contracts. That's going to happen with a lot of things. Doctor Who, I don't know. There will be a video out on that soon, on that very subject of season 13, folks. Keep an eye on it. Be out in the next 5 days. I don't think I can make it from the road. But there you go. Oh, it's so... Whew. At least we have each other, right? At least we have each other. Right. Oh, by the way, program update. Friday Night Tights Super Chat Square Up will be out soon. I'm going to record it from the road. I have everything prepped and look for it on Nerdrotic Live soon. Soon. I don't like to wait for that, but that will be out soon. Mailing out coffee and gifts tomorrow. Captain Spire, bless you. Bless you. I appreciate you. Thank you. I miss Q hanging out. LOL. Q's here, but I didn't know where to put him, so I'll bring Q back. He came with me though. Thank you, Eric K, for $2. Best time is now for $9.99. Gary, I can feel your anger. It gives you focus and makes you stronger. It does. Anger is a gift sometimes. You don't want to wallow in it. You don't want to live in it. But it can help you get through some things. I've angered my way through some things. But if you're angry too long, it gets to be a bit poisonous. Look at all the people on Twitter. Look at all the people who've been attacking us. They sit in anger every day. That's all they are, is angry. They're children. They do not know how to process things. They don't know acceptance. Acceptance is a real thing. And it brings you peace. There are things you don't have power on. There are things I don't have power over. And I can't change. So am I going to have a little tantrum for 4 years? Or am I going to accept what's going on in the world for what it is and change it however I can, if I need to change it? You know, I'm just not one of those people who wakes up in the morning going, I need to tell people what to do and change people's minds because I'm an influencer. I'm going to go out and, oh my God. You see that one lady who grabbed a worker's drill and had her boyfriend take a picture, and she was done the next day. Yeah. No. I just want to talk to people. Interact. Debate. That's good. That's where real change comes from. Real change. It doesn't come from fear. It doesn't come from tyranny. It doesn't come from statements like, you're with us or you're against us. Now I've heard two sides make that statement, and I couldn't disagree with it more. Those are not statements I necessarily agree with at all. That's fear. That's tyranny. And that's what they were trying to do with us, with the critics of Doctor Who. What were they trying to do in the beginning when we said we didn't like what was going on? Well, you're an istanophobe. And they just ran with it and ran with it and ran with it and ran with it when there was a lot more nuance to what we were saying. And they understood it. Most of them do. They're disingenuous a-holes. I don't know. I always try to side with the truth. And if there are very good causes out there, and all of these good causes can tell you what they are. Can be upfront and say, I am about this, and be very specific. And then there's causes who have to call themselves a different name. I won't get into details, but you know what I'm talking about. But they're really something else. Fellow Encinitas boy here, I met you at Lestats last year. How long are you in town? Would love to discuss a decentralized video streaming project I'm working on. What's the best way to get in touch with you? Kylan, hey, what's up? Greetings, sir. Yes, I remember meeting you at the meetup. Thank you for the $10. I'm going to be in town for the next 2 to 3 days for sure. I will be at SoCal Comics in a couple hours. If you want to meet me over there. I wasn't sure about meetups. But I guess everything's open here. I probably could have done one. Maybe I will. I'd have to think about it though. I'd have to think about a place and a time, and I got to get with Mrs. Nerdrotic. So stay tuned. Gary at nerdrotic.com is the best place to get a hold of me. Bear Business One for $5. Kind of looks like your beard is floating in front of a camera. It is. It's floating. It's the white background. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize my shirt kind of blended in too. If I'm just like this, right? So this shirt, it got blurry there. Sorry about, oh, dang it. Focus. This shirt changes colors when you go outside. It all fills in. I'm almost ashamed to tell you that I got it at Hot Topic. It is the cover of yeah, there you go. Let's get back here. God, this is like the least comfortable chair in the world. But it keeps me awake, keeps me alert. Thank you, Bear Business One, for $5. CP the Nerd for $5. Just finished Expanse Season 4. I felt creeping wokeness. The woman seemed deliberately androgenized and eye-rolling empowered. Should we be worried? Naomi's kind of always been like that. Yes, you should always be worried. You should always be worried that it's going to get woke. And I think the books do. So, yeah, I would be worried, to be honest with you. So far, it hasn't been to me. Naomi was always a really fleshed out good character, but we'll see. Jody Bowie for $5. Hail, Gary. Elmer Fudd is a hunter. How is he going to hunt with a bow and arrow or a sickle? The gun jokes of Bugs messing with his gun was the best. So what the fuck, people? Well, physical media. Buy physical media. But that might have been a Warner Brothers decision. Maybe AT&T goes back on that because that's just the new cartoons. They did not remove them from the old cartoons. Okay. Brian Yoder for $5. Supporting the Cal Exit Tour. Thank you. It's starting this weekend. The process has begun. I have started looking for new places. I don't want to bore you with the details. I'm going to scout out some places, some states. And then once we decide on one, we're going to rent a house and we're going to see if we genuinely like it and then go from there. Comic idea, Justice League versus Antifa. I would buy. Viking Insane for $2 Canadian. Yeah. Who would Batman be? Would Batman be supportive of looting? I know they're trying to make an argument out there that the superheroes would be as supportive. No. I refuse. I absolutely refuse to bend the knee to that argument. Looting and ruining people's lives is an act of tyranny. It's an act of violence. And I personally wouldn't conflate that with a peaceful protester. A peaceful protester for a cause and a looter are two different things. I don't see a skin color when I see a looter. I see a looter. And the looters were a lot of different skin colors. They weren't one. So I'm not making any false assumptions at all. I'm talking about an individual. Peaceful protest all you want. But destroying a property, to the people who just say it's property on Twitter, leave your address after you make that statement. Please. Do us all a favor and leave your address. Viking, I don't know, it might lessen it on somebody who doesn't think it's just property and it might be just their livelihood, how they feed their kids, how they send them to school. The children, our future. Culture Casino sends a phallic unicorn for $1.49. Thank you very much. Waylim Morrow for $5. Nerdrotic and Nerdrotic Live are now my favorite YouTube channels. Well, thank you, William. I appreciate it. I am proud that I have earned that, and I hope to continue earning it. Yodam Darkstar for another phallic unicorn for $1.49. Thank you. Okay, I got to reset this all the time, but the phallic unicorn comes from, I reviewed Brie Larson. Oh, we're going to talk about Brie Larson for just a second, too. I reviewed Brie Larson's unicorn store in a live stream, and it was one of the dumbest movie I've ever, well, not the dumbest, but it's right down there. But I got a new perspective because I'll never forget what my big sister told me when I was 8 years old, because my big sister grew up in the 70s and she loved unicorns. So, and she, you know, her and I, we get along not really okay these days, but you know what? She kind of traumatized me as a kid, but she made me the man I am today by being she was tough but fair big sister. But she told me that unicorns represent the D. Basically, they're a phallic symbol. And it kind of changed my perspective on what the unicorn store was, because it was all about the D. There you go. Eric K. for $2. Ask this missus to take care of those blue balls, Gary. Hey, well, now they're pink. They change colors. That's, by the way, all the backlighting in my office, it's my little color balls that are everywhere. I hope Marvel cuts their line back 30 to 40 titles, says Chris Barchuk for $1.99. They are. That is absolutely happening. And it needed to be done. And comic shop owners were asking for this. But now that there's no DC for some of them, because they're going to quit DC forever, they might change that. Al Bennett. Dang it, it just jumped on me. Al Bennett. What time we got? Okay, 1:20. Cool. Sorry, folks, it jumped on me. I'll be there in just a moment. There it is. Gives $2 and doesn't say anything, but thank you, Al. Adam Wolford for $5. Hey, Gary, come to Oklahoma. It's cheaper than Texas. Also, I know someone who can fix your hard drive. Oh, that'd be cool. I'm sure it's pretty fixable. It's just it was an external hard drive where the power source died, but all the information is still there. Surprise Mechanics for $5. You have given me the motivation to go back and making comics to simply tell a good story. That's it. So much of this needs to be brought back to another saying from Recovery: keep it simple. Just tell a good story. That's what people want. People want comfort right now. People want normalcy. They want to know that things are going to be okay. I had people literally asking us in the Inquisition live stream, and it's a good question to ask. Are things going to be okay? Yes. Yes. It's going to be rough. I'm not going to lie to you, but are things going to be okay? As it stands right now, I haven't watched the news and I don't get on Twitter that much. Yes, because in my little travels here across the state, I've seen a couple of protests, but what I've seen mostly is people going to work, people going to the beach, people riding their bikes, people jogging, people taking out the trash, a mom and a daughter coming out of a laundromat, people getting gas. Normal shit is happening. It's not what you see on the, switch off the mainstream media. Really. Enemy of the people. They want to keep us divided. Hollywood wants to keep us divided. But Surprise Mechanics, yeah. I'm even feeling motivated to do something creative. I get it out of my system every day with the YouTube channel, but I have some ideas now, and I have been inspired by a lot of the Indiegogo projects. They're really good. They're really, again, turn off what the Access Media says. Just go to these people's channels and judge for yourself. Now, is all of it great? No. Do I sign off on everybody's behavior in CG? No, I don't. But I'm not their daddy. I'm not going to tell them how to run their channel and run their life. They're going to do what they're going to do, and I just see a product. I would say there has been good and bad, just like there's been good and bad in the Fandom Menace. But there are projects that are finished. There are physical books that are out there that are good, that I can stand behind. Or, I haven't seen them all. I don't think I will. I don't have that kind of time, but if you have the time, check it out. There's a lot of good comics out there, and check out Alterna. Alterna is solid. I will be doing business with Peter Samedi when I open that shop, for sure. There will be an Alterna section. I promise you that. And there'll probably be an Indiegogo projects section too, pretty large one. The Talons of Wang Cheng. Again, thank you for the Blake 7. Bless you. The BBC will spray hashtag ACAB on the TARDIS next season. Yeah, ACAB. What is, I got to find out what ACAB is. What's ACAB? I'm probably missing it, but ACAB. Okay, all cops are bastards. Got you. They probably will. They probably will. Miss Bjorn, what's up, Bjorn? For 20 Swedish krona. Mrs. Nerdrotic, Gary has big blue balls, giant, and they're glowing. They're glowing. Not really. Code Monkey for $2. Any chance of a fan meetup soon? Yes, now that people are freed and opened up. I talked about it on the Inquisition last night. We were supposed to do a meetup for Star Wars Celebration. I don't think they've officially canceled it yet. So we'll see. But yes, I want to do a meetup where, be it Vegas or Anaheim or maybe a central location, we rent a place out. Now, we want to be safe too. We want to be safe, but a place where we could just meet up and hang out. That's it. It'll be no charge, and hopefully I can rent something out, maybe get a taco truck or two, and we could do some live shows and meet up. That'd be kind of fun. And I know Ethan and the guys are going to do a con next year as well. So that's gonna happen as well. My meetup will be different. It'll be just a meetup, and probably Jeremy will be involved. I don't want to speak with him, but we have talked about it. And it was supposed to be in conjunction with Star Wars Celebration. If that still happens, then yes, we will still do our meetup. Now, I'm not going into Star Wars Celebration. I care less. I'd rather meet you guys. Thacio for $2. George R. Martin hasn't updated his blog for 2 weeks. Thoughts? He is writing. We are very close to his self-imposed deadline, Thacio. So we'll find out. July 20th, I believe it was. Yes. I checked this morning. Nicholas Horton for £5. Comic shop news here. Only Forbidden Planet is going to reopen for now. And the Forbidden Planet in New York required crowdfunding to stay open. Is that as far as London is concerned, Nicholas Horton? Only for Forbidden Planet's open? That's a great shop. I like it. Imagine having a store in a city that bans law enforcement. Route 69 for Australian $5. Yep. Imagine having a house there with no alternative. That is insane. Listen, I'm not a political science hack or person or pundit, so I'm not going to begin to have an answer for that. Do things need to change? Sure. Do we replace it with something worse? That'll probably end up happening. Look back to Route 69. Look back through the history of America. Look back to the history of what started police departments. And that should answer a lot of questions. I think that's not taking a political stance. Just simply go back and look at the American history and look at where the cop came from. There you go. Gary, are you ComicsGate, quote unquote, says Pilgrim Media for $2. No, I am not ComicsGate. I have friends in ComicsGate. I have never used the hashtag, nor will I pretend to use it for financial gain at all. But I definitely support Zach. I support EVS. But ComicsGate is something that's been around for years, and there's people who've been in that fight for years. I kind of observed it. I was there. I mean, I was there at the beginning. I was in people's chats, England Teens chats, EVS's early chats, your boy Zach's chats, interacting with people. Comics Division was there, but would I claim ComicsGate? No, that would be disingenuous. That would be disingenuous. So, yeah. No, I am not, but I do not. It's a hashtag, so I look at it just like the Fandom Menace. Now, I use the Fandom Menace hashtag all the time. Am I Fandom Menace? A lot of people consider me, but it's a hashtag that I use, and I support a lot of the principles of the loose collection of individuals united in the principle of respecting the fan. Hempty is a member at the Jaloja level. Hail! Justin White, 10 Canadian dollars. Alberta hair salons open up. It's a joke. Required to wear masks, but the stylist has to touch it to get around the ears, and sometimes they get clipped. Yep. It's all for show. It's all for show. It is all for show. And you know, it's not like ComicsGate can't have new members. If you want to claim ComicsGate, absolutely. Go ahead. I don't judge you for being ComicsGate. It doesn't give you an automatic pass either. It's individuals. That's all it is individuals. And there are a lot of people who have done a lot of work with that hashtag, trying to change the industry, which they weren't going to do. And then they decided to evolve. They said, enough. Okay, I got to make my own books now because this isn't happening. And we've gotten some good stuff out of it. And listen, it's a big part of the comic book industry. Maybe not financially yet, but as far as sentiment, who is everybody talking about? Who is it? They're talking about them. So has it been perfect? No. It's a group of human beings. Okay, human beings with egos. Hang on. Son of a bitch. There we go. I just knocked something over. It was just the router. It's fine. I'm still connected. No, it's filled with human beings who make mistakes, and you can't judge an entire hashtag based on individuals. Now, certainly they're bad actors. Yep, I think largely they get taken care of. The universe unfolds as it should. It was great having your boy Zach on the show last Friday. He did a fantastic job. That was a big deal to me because he was one of the people. There's a lot of people who are responsible for getting me on this platform to create content. He was one of them. Midnight's Edge, Jeff from World Class Bullshitters, your boy Zach, were channels I watched early on. Secure Team 10, which I know he has his problems. Yeah, it's been a fun ride. It'd be nice. If we just go, God, I think people were probably longing at this point for the days of just the beer buck. Justin White for 10 Canadian dollars. Thank you very much again. Cecil is love. My good friend Cecil. Cecil says it's adults only content for $2. Is Mrs. Nerdrotic needs clients? I'll come over for a perm. Okay, she could do a perm too, Cecil. So you could have a perm just like Mike Brady. Get a Mike Brady perm. There you go. Come on over, man. Michael and Cecil, yes. To answer your question, yes, we will get Cecil on a Friday Night Tights. Yes. Michael Henley for $12. 3 Gary streams in 2 days. It's going to be a good week. Yes. Yes. I appreciate that. Jody Bowie, this sucks for Mrs. Nerdrotic. My 3 friends at all own small businesses and are doing it hard. The salon is opening in 2 weeks, clothing store in 2 weeks, photo studio still doesn't know if she can fully reopen. Yeah. The events of the last weekend, really, I listen. Okay. So one of my relatives is a realtor, and a lot of listings went up just in the last week. Like they said, listings exploded. So that says it all. Is Gary in jail? Well, hung and dung for £2. No, I am in a living room that's really echoey. Listen, these are things you don't necessarily think about, but now I have to think about. Like when I travel, it's like they got to have carpet. It's got to have I have to be able to, like, no wireless connection. I need to have an Ethernet plug-in for a connection. And didn't think about it. Peppermint oil capsule for $2. Mr. Beak, remember the book Blake 7 Afterlife? Well, I will remember that. Thank you. 200-watt studio for $2. Russell T. Davies is trolling the BBC. Got to be. That is a way you can look at it, that he's trolling at this point. Like, screw it. Dogs, cats, plants. If he would have put plants in there, then I would say he's trolling. But it does not count as official canon. So we'll see. Maybe he's trying to troll Chibnall. Flash star fired from show for tweets? Which one? From Mills for 14 South African pesos. Which one? Hang on, I'll check. Oh, whoa. Holy shit. Hang on a second, folks. Flash star fired. Racist and misogynist tweets. Hartley Sawyer fired. The elongated man, right? Is he the elongated man? Here we go. Hartley Sawyer fired from Flash after ist tweets. I already said racist and misogynist. Surface. So are these old tweets? Did he say, like, women belong in the kitchen? Let's see. Actor, God, this is really small. I got to blow that up. Sorry, folks. Hopefully that stays in line with here. There we go. Actor Hartley Sawyer has been fired from The Flash after a host of his tweets containing misogynist and racist references were surfaced in the past week. The tweets, all from before he joined the CW series, make references to sexual assault containing ist and homophobic language. Sawyer's Twitter account has been deleted, but screenshots of old posts have circulated online in the past 2 weeks. His firing also comes amid nationwide protests against systematic racism in the wake of George Floyd's May 25th death in Minneapolis. I thought the protest was about George Floyd and police brutality. God, the goalposts keep changing in this world. I'm not going to read that. So, where are the tweets? Okay, among the tweets users surfaced in the past 2 weeks are from 2012, in which Sorrow wrote, "Only thing keeping me from doing mildly ist tweets is the knowledge that Al Sharpton would never stop complaining about me. Enjoyed a secret boob viewing at an audition today." Okay, all right, this one, this is probably from a guy who doesn't think he's ever going to make it big. And this is nothing. Guess what? I had a secret boob viewing this morning when I got up next to my wife. Okay, now this one's pretty bad. Yeah. I'm not even going to say that one. All right, so, I mean, were these all jokes? Yep. All I can say, folks, okay, does this stuff bother me? No. Should it bother anybody? No. But that's not reality. That's not the world we live in, and especially Twitter. So just because we have principles, free speech principles, and we should have a sense of humor, and we should check ourselves on Twitter. Listen, nobody's perfect. I understand that. If you want a professional career, where you have to basically you're working for these big corporations that now have restrictions on you, which I'm not entirely sure are legal. Listen, California is an at-will state, but we're infringing on a lot of weird stuff here. People are going, how did somebody find his old tweets? Who thought to look for the elongated man's 8-year-old tweets? What the hell? What precipitated that? Did he piss somebody off who might have noticed that? You know, I talked about it with Robert Meyer Burnett. Hollywood is so cutthroat, and they could talk about all the inclusivity and diversity they want to fucking talk about. They are backstabbing, cutthroat. They are terrible people, and he probably pissed somebody off. I don't know. And somebody found his old tweets, and that's how you get rid of competition there. Opportunistic. So if you're going to work in Hollywood, I don't know why you would want. Who would want to work there right now? For what? So you could have a bit role. So he's on The Flash. He's known as the elongated man. Is that going to set him for life? Is that going to set his career ahead? Honestly, I don't even know why anybody would want to go there. To be famous? I think that era might be coming to an end. You know, the more you do this to people, whether it's deserved or not, the more you do this to people, the more people are going to go like, why in the frack would I want to go work there? It sounds terrible. It sounds like you got to watch what you say, watch how you act, like you're living in some 1984 society. That's what Hollywood is right now. It's a self-imposed Big Brother. It sounds like hell. It sounds like absolute hell. Last place I'd ever want to work. So I guess some people do. If you want to work there, do not get on Twitter. Do not get on Twitter. I think being self-employed might be the safest thing you can do on Twitter. Is be self-employed. Or, yeah. I mean, I can't remember what I tweeted in 2008 and 9 at all. Too bad, but there you go. That's what you get when you go to Hollywood. You don't have any friends. You have strategic associates who will end you at some point. Peter Noble for £2. RTD is trolling Chibnall and certain fans. Yeah. But at this point, who cares? It's dead. I mean, like I said in my Star Trek video, and I'm saying about Star Wars and Doctor Who, like, that's it, folks. It's over. R.I.P. Doctor Who was never a joke. It is done. It is dead as a series. The BBC, right now, they're using hope as a strategy. We hope it gets better. We hope our ratings bounce back. It was just an anomaly. It was some evil YouTubers. It was all those Istanphobe fans out there. But there's a big group of people who are going to love the garbage that we're putting out. No. So why are they sticking with it? Pride and ego. And once that starts getting into your business, plus the BBC doesn't really operate like a business or a corporation, do they? But according to Az, he doesn't have to pay his license fee. And I would recommend during these hard times, I suspend the license fee. That's the human, because what you're doing is you're victimizing the poor. That's all you have to do. Just word it like that. You're victimizing the poor with a license fee. Gary, I heard you on the Inquisition that you're in Carlsbad. I'm heading down there on Thursday to go home and visit my family. Make sure you go to Pizza Port on Carl's Village Drive. You won't regret it. I will check it out, SD Bentley. I ate at, where did I eat again? I'll remember it later. I'm having a live stream brain fart. It's not like I haven't gone there for years. Justin White for 2 Canadian pesos. Smith was kidding with a curious child. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. I didn't take that seriously. It's all about context, folks. But Screen Rant, believe me, the Access Media was digging and digging and digging and looking for anything they could find to back up the argument that the Timeless Child could be used as canon. And they failed miserably. Miserably. The Talons of Wang Chang for $4.99. What's that, doctor? Asked Jimmy stuck down in the well. Come on, girl, let's get some help. Lassie reference if you weren't sure. This is so stupid. Yes. Jimmy. Ferociously, Steph is Dr. Deer. Problem being. That's good. For $2. Well done. Yes. Community TV show predicted this in one episode. Justin White, I didn't watch Community, so I believe you for 2 Canadian pesos. Cisco Kid for $5. So let me get this straight. We have Doctor Who, Nurse, and now Catshite. Oops. Need to bury this one, fans. Yeah, we do. John T. Levine for £4.99. You know what the funniest part about this is? The Doctor is canonically a gender fluid furry, and I'm not even shocked. It's just par for the course. The furries have always been around fandom. They've always been a part, like a little niche, weird, out there part of fandom, and they were never supposed to be fandom. I would say even a furry would tell you that. The lights. Are you in a women's bathroom? 200-watt studio for $2. I am in a living room. I'm surprised you can't hear the garden tools out there. You probably can. Also, for what it's worth, gender non-binary people are going to hate this. Men and women and animals means that there is no third category besides animals. Yep. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. I didn't want to go there. I really didn't. But remember in the Star Trek article about Picard, the humbling of Picard, they called dogs, they equated dogs as a marginalized group. Dogs. I'm surprised more light hasn't been brought to that. Now, this is the second relation to animals. They show who they really are every chance they get. There's a couple analogies that I don't want to use right now, but I think you know what I'm thinking. Brendan Lucas for £5. Hey, Gary, did you see the latest Doctor Who countdown video written by Stephen Moffat? Bill comes back and calls police Cybermen without handlebars. No, I didn't. But I heard it's going to be his last. And he's done with Doctor Who after that, Brendan Lucas. So thank you. Chris Stanley for $1.49. Thank you for the phallic unicorn. I appreciate it. SJ Almighty for £5. You do a good job. You all do a good job. Thank you for being here. I don't know if the count's right, but over 2,600 people. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me for this crappy sounding live stream. I will try to find something a little better sound-wise. There's a hotel right next door. Dude, there's hotel. Sorry to dude you. There's a hotel on the beach where you can get a suite for $200. Like right now, for $200, a ocean view suite. That's how crazy things are. I was thinking about just getting a little hotel room to do my recordings from, but I mean, I'm cheap, but I might have to. I'm going to go back and listen to it because a lot of people listen to this as a podcast. By the way, I'm available on Spotify now and on iTunes, and this is going to be, audio. It's so important. It's so important. Brendan Lucas for $10. A movement that demands your subjugation just might not be a moral movement, and giving away your power to somebody with the hope of mercy and redemption just might not be the smartest course of action. A movement with unity and peace in mind does not require anybody to kneel. Now, if somebody wants to kneel on their own as an individual decision to another individual, whatever, do what you want to do. That's our whole philosophy. Nobody's ever made this secret in the Fandom Menace. You know what? We aren't an echo chamber. You know what? We disagree on a lot of things, but we've come together under one umbrella for unity, okay? For unity, for listening to all voices, all sides of the story. And no, of course not. We're not talking about the extremes on either side. And everybody knows that. It's a disingenuous bullshit argument. And the fact of the matter that they complain about us using SJW when they throw out alt-right just as much. And I will argue that SJWs are more prevalent, higher in number, and they actually exist. Alt-right people certainly exist. There's thousands of them in a country of 331 million people. And I don't think any of them would watch Star Trek or Doctor Who now or ever, or like Star Wars. As a matter of fact, I know they don't like nerds, period. The alt-right views the nerd, just, me wearing this Captain America shirt or having an action figure. They look down on that, believe me. Go look, it doesn't exist. Not in this community. So, we want that unity, and we've been fighting for it, and a lot of good work has been undone. And listen, I don't want it conflated with, is there a good cause out there? Do we need some change with how people are treated by the police? Yes. Never argued with that. But what that change is, I don't know. We need very smart people who will be very understanding and willing to talk to each other to work it out. Rebecca Gold for 20 pounds. Hi, Gary. Come on our show this Sunday. The idea, if we were the showrunner after the Moff and instead of chin balls, did I say chin balls? Oh, because you wrote it that way. Chin balls, sorry. How would we proceed? Bulls Trek and Starry-Eyed Girl will be on. If you can't, don't worry. Keep rocking, mate. What time? Because I have the Inquisition on Sunday. But if it's during the day, like around noon my time, so 8 your time, I can make it. I talked about that a little bit. How do you move ahead? Well, with the current canon, you can't. You can't. Unless you come in and listen, everybody's going to say, erase the last 2 years. You can't do that. The BBC would never let that. If you want, like, I would recommend, Rebecca, you actually take a realistic approach. And that realistic approach is we either reboot the series entirely, or I know it's Ian, sorry. You reboot the series entirely, or you have to work with the canon and you have to retcon the shit out of it. And I guess you could. Would people buy it? Maybe. I am of the belief that too many normies have walked away. Now, hardcore fan, could you win me back with if Ian or Bulls Trek wrote it or Critical Drinker wrote it and retcon something? Sure, you can win me back, absolutely. But it wouldn't be, the normies would be gone, and it would take years to earn them back. They pissed away what they had tried 50 years to make, and they pissed it away within 2 years. It was gone. 50 years of work, gone. 50 years of work by better men and women, gone with one hack. one hack and one terrible actress. It's easier to destroy than build. But yeah, I'll try to make it. Avenia Secundus for $5.45. Sorry, story idea. Batman's mind cracks and he gets multiple personality disorder. B, Wayne supports no cash bail so Batman can maul them over and over again. Sure. Avenia, I don't know. It makes me think of a picture though. Which I was almost going to use for the thumbnail, and I thought better of it because it's Batman with a beard, and I forgot what cover it was for, but he's got the bottle of pills, and it's right. I think during Venom, right? The Venom storyline. I'm thinking of that. Mark Tuttle for $5. Come to Austin. North suburbs aren't woke. Would love to have you and the wife for dinner. Keep it real. Hell, Mark, I would love to come by. Austin is not in my future. I am not going to get anywhere near any place that's like San Francisco. Not even the burbs. But thanks, though. But Texas is a possibility. I drove past a restaurant yesterday with people, says Jody Boy for $2. Yes, I was in a restaurant yesterday with people. We just had to walk in with our masks, and when we sat down, we did it. We did it. What was the goddamn name of the? Hang on. Now, there's a very good restaurant near where I'm staying called Jay's, which is really, really good. It's Italian food. I haven't ate there in a while, but the Mexican restaurant I went to was right next to it, and I am blanking on the name. I'll think of it when it's over. But if you're in San Diego, you want a good Mexican joint, go to Roberto's or Juanita's or anything with a Berto's at the end, like Gilberto's or Sam Berto's, because they're all the same or Filiberto's. They're all like taco shops. Get a carne asada burrito. It's food of the gods. Food of the gods. Gary, move to Columbus, Ohio, and be my neighbor. Says, okay, Jeff. I'm doing it. Done. Thanks for the $2. Sharon Ferguson, welcome to the protomolecule level. Welcome, Sharon. Sarah B for $5. Hail, Gary. Good luck to you and Mrs. Nerdrotic on the exit research. Maybe you can post your results or do a video. I bet you get tons of new subs. I will keep you updated if you guys. I don't want to bore you with it too much, so I feel like I talk about it too much. But I just want to show you that real families who are tax-paying, good citizens who try to do the best we can are uprooting are everything to get out of the state where I was born and raised, and my kids were born and raised. Melissa was born in Pennsylvania. No, wait, she born? No, she was born in Sheboygan, moved to Pennsylvania, moved back to Sheboygan, and then California. Sheboygan, Wisconsin, that's where she was born. Human beings are fallible. R.I.P. Gary, 2020. So true. How dare I say that? Sci-Fi Fan Theories for $4.99. Hi, Gary. Would you mind reviewing my book? Love your channel. Formerly Trilochus. Keep up the good work. I could review it, but I mean, I don't know when. An entire book, it depends on how long it is. I could review a graphic novel or a 15-minute series, but if it's a book, I've got a stack about yay high of books I have to review. So if you want to send it, cool. It'll be like a couple years. Sorry. But sitting down and reading a book it's as a YouTube content creator, it's something you could do in like little bits, but it'd be impossible to review. Graphic novel, yes. Comic book, yes. No problem. I'm going to be doing a Q&A show. It's tentatively scheduled for Thursday, but I might have to move it. where I'm going to send you guys the link and you're going to come in and we're going to ask me anything. It's kind of what I do for my members, but I'm going to do it once just on the main channel. Zero Depressive for 25 Rons. Why do you talk like you're being held hostage by radicals in ComicsGate? Why do I talk like I'm being held hostage by radicals in ComicsGate? I don't. That's how I feel. All we do is laugh and point when they eat each other out. Keep up the great videos. Yeah, they certainly have their fair share of drama, but I generally don't want to get involved with it. I've made no secret about it, so that's why I don't talk about it, because I don't talk about it. I have a firm rule that I do not talk about other YouTubers. For one, I don't want to bring attention to their channel, and YouTube drama is the most boring thing to me as a viewer. So that's why I don't talk about it. I don't get involved, and I don't really give a shit. When somebody else gets involved with somebody else's drama and expects me to have an opinion on it, I don't. Period. Ron W. for $1.49. Gary, need to get Dan Fraga on Friday Night Tights. I will. I like Dan. He's good. Cal Exit Tour Burrito Fund. Thank you very much. Malcott63 for $5. I appreciate it. But Brooklyn Gal for $5. Again, all we could do is laugh and point now when they eat each other out there. Keep up the great videos. Yes, that could be related to a lot of things, Brooklyn Gal, so I don't know what you're talking to specifically. I don't know if it was like about ComicsGate or people who are, they're constantly changing their own rules and going out there, which is the SJWs, which are two different things. But yeah, there's certainly drama out there everywhere, and that's why I stay out of it. That's why I'm not on Twitter, and I don't interact. Now, if somebody else wants to get involved who's a friend, by all means, get involved. I'm not judging them. I generally don't care. I don't have time for it. I'm too old for that shit. So that's why I don't get involved. If it gets particularly hairy or something like that, that's on that person. Doctor Who is not dead, still working on the script for the fan film, so hold tight. To get it made, I'm going to need a lot of support from the fans. Rebecca Gold, for $5, do you think it's worth it? I mean, I'll support you. You've always supported me, and I'll support you. And if you want to do it, it's a passion project. For one, are they going to let you do it? Because you're going to need crowdfunding. Are you not going to get sued like CBS? I don't know how the BBC approaches that stuff. Maybe they'll leave you alone. And is it worth it? And maybe you should be working on something else. I mean, again, I'll support it. I would love to see an alternative, but at this point, especially after this weekend, it's made me re-examine a lot of stuff. And it's like, are these franchises worth my time? Are they worth your time? Are they? Anymore? But yeah, we could talk about it Sunday. I have an evolving opinion on that. We need an Airplane 3 made. We need to laugh. Captain Spire, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Jody Bowie, if the Doctor turns into a centaur in the future, the show would jump the shark. Again, hashtag RIP Doctor Who. I mean, nothing's impossible. Could it be saved? Sure. Is it going to be saved within the next 5 years? No. Same with Star Trek. I mean, is there a scenario out there where somebody comes in and says, I know Chris Chibnall or Alex Kurtzman, whatever show you're talking about, they divided the fandom. I'm sorry. We are here to unite. And I know I'm not going to make everybody happy with this, but what my concern is the needs of the many, not the needs of the few or the one. So we want to make the most fans happy. So we're going to make something that doesn't alienate half our fan base. And hopefully you like it. We're going to do our best. Yeah, then I'm on board. I'm going to give somebody a try. But again, Chris Chibnall still has one more season of Doctor Who, which is now going to be, okay, we'll say a year and a half away at best. Kurtzman's still in charge of Star Trek for at least 2 more years. And I've heard all the rumors in the world, and I will believe it when I see it. I've heard a lot of stuff. I've seen some stuff happen, but he is still there like a cockroach. And same with Chibnall. And the shows suck, and nobody likes them, but the companies still stick with them because they need content for their streaming service as well. I think a lot has changed, so we'll see. We'll see. Gary, I was just saying that regardless, you bring color to the room. That is what I meant to say earlier. Oh, it's all right. I misinterpret a bunch of shit, Alan Bennett. It's usually my fault. Thank you for the $5. Working on a 236-page indie graphic novel. Great. Great. I can't wait to see it. Billy Mack for $5 Canadian. Only way to save Doctor Who is go to the alternate reality with Rose Tyler and the human Dr. Tennant. Yeah. Yeah. The only way to save Doctor Who is to rip it out of Chibnall's and the BBC's hand. It needs to get away from the BBC, which it won't. We do not kneel. Canon exists, and we stand for it. Piola RL, it is great to see you. Thank you for the £1.99. It does count, and we count. I came 1906 for $5. I had family in Escondido, California. Now they live in Dallas, Texas, in a suburb of Frisco, Texas, and they love it. Frisco, hey, that's where, Frisco, Texas. I don't want to say. I have heard of Frisco, Texas, and it is a possibility. Sebastian Annan for $2. Hail, Gary. A thought occurred to me about The Last of Us 2. On Rekida's stream, his guest mentioned seeing a very buff woman in a protest in LA who he suspected was Antifa, and it brought to mind Abby. See part 2. Part 2 for $5 is, do you think there's more to Naughty Dog's agenda in this game besides just alphabet community? Yes. 1000% yes. Sebastian Annan. Not a banned account for $4.99 with Winnie the Pooh. What's that in reference to? I wonder. When will we see DC return Nubia, Wonder Woman's black identical twin sister, already a minority, not retcon, race swapped, needed. Hashtag diversity. Did you see us Friday Night Tights? It's already happening. It's already happening. Would you like to see it? Hang on. Where is... Give me just a moment. Now, this is already in canon. I have no problem with the series existing at all. The only thing I have the problem with is the art. Okay? So, that's the only thing I have a problem with. And whatever, that's fine. It's specifically that. That's freaking horrible. Horrible. I'm fine with the story, let it exist, but comic art has gotten horrible, and I don't even know what to say about that. Matt Guy for £2. Fans will always tune in no matter the background. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hail Gary in chat. Hope everyone is doing well. It's not as bad. That is as bad as the Aquaman art. Hang on. I bought you an ocean. No, I brought you an ocean, not I bought you an ocean. And just to clarify, what I showed earlier, that looked like the ist art from like the 30s to me. I mean, if you want something like truly offensive, and I'm like Mr. Offended here ever, but like when I saw that, I could not believe it. And it made it a comic, and it got praised by the Mary Sue. So maybe I'm off base on it. Yeah, I'm not, but that's the first thing I thought of was that ist art that you saw back in the 30s, the 20s, in the very dark early days of comics. I mean, remember, it's not the first comic, but the first comic was Yellow Boy. So here it goes. Yeah, this is pretty bad as well. Can I take a look at the inside of the book? I don't know why I want to do this to myself again, but what the hell? Sorry, it's bouncing. I'll try to keep that to a minimum. There you go. So it's a book about Aqualad, who's not really Aqualad, in New Mexico. Look at this art. Man, that's quality stuff. Whew. We got to get to, oh, that's fascinating. What is that? Wait a minute. Oh, he brings up the water. You brought me an ocean. Oh my God, is this the whole book? Oh, what does that symbolize? Oh, wait a minute. How come the pages we were looking at the other day are gone? With like the big bubble? Interesting. Pretty sure this is the same website I went to Friday night. All right, well, it's not there. Yeah, wonderful looking art there, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, let's get to the chat. All right. Little Steve for £2. Hey, Chicken Joe is from Sheboygan. Sheboygan is, yeah, Mrs. Nerdrotic's hometown. Chicken Joe. Hey, Gary, hope you're doing well. Looking for a new house. I own an autograph company. I've been paying my employees throughout the pandemic and gave them their pay raise to $25 an hour. Private Halo 117 for $1.99. You own an autograph company? Dude, email me. I'm a collector. Email me. Let me know where's your shop at. Let me know. I don't want to dox you here, but unless you want to tell people. That's fine. Cool. Hail, Gary and chat. Hope everyone is doing well. Says Caleb Beck for $2. I am doing well. It seems like the chat is pretty lively today, which I like. Matt Guy, thank you again. Caleb Beck, Sebastian Annan, Little Steve, Private Halo 117, Crazy Cat Guy for $5. Thanks for the live stream. Enjoy your getaway. I will. We're actually going to have to wrap things up. I'm going to get through the last super chats here, and I got to wrap up and hit the comic store. Keep an eye on Twitter. I'll probably, I don't know if I can, I'll live stream on Nerdrotic Live from the shop if they let me. Why not? If you haven't subscribed to Nerdrotic Live, now is the time if you want. It's my alternate channel where I put my live streams. Greetings from Escondido, says Jeffrey Wolf. What's up, Jeffrey Wolf? That's where I lived before I moved to San Francisco, Ashford Glen, on Ashford Glen. Moringan for $10. As a palate cleanser for everyone, I want to recommend the recent Lord of the Rings cast reunion hosted by Josh Gad on YouTube. Nothing but nostalgia and happiness, exactly what actors are supposed to provide. And I can second that. I watched it too, Morrigan. Absolutely. Thank you for the $10. You're old, Gary, says Leroy for $2. Yes, absolutely. I'm 50. And may you live this long. May you live this long and longer, much longer. Love the ASMR and bikini tryout on hall lighting. Oh, don't you love it? It's Nerdrotic now with bisexual lighting. For 200 watt studio for $2. Swamp Thing Twin Branches. What the Friday? Oh yeah, we're gonna cover that too. No, DCYA is going to provide me and Yellow Flash and a lot of other people and with content for the rest of the year. Because we already did Gotham High. We're going to be doing maybe the Robin book. We might do that. We're going to do the Aqualad book. And now there's a Swamp Thing book that's worse. Jody Bowie for $5. Move to Tonawanda, New York. Gary, it's calm and nothing happens here. You and the clan could be my neighbors. And you could all come over for dinner. LOL. I'm not going to move to the East Coast. I am a West Coast guy. Southwest is where I'm looking for. But thank you. I'll visit. Next time there's a New York Comic Con, I'll be in New York. Pal Sletten for 200 Danish krona. Wow. Love from Norway. Nerdrotic, go forth and conquer. Good man. Kill all the SJWs with your words. Eve Online, salute 07 PS. Love from Paul. Thank you. EVE, I don't know what that is at the end, but thank you. Eve Online salute. So you're saluting. Got you. Got it. Okay, Trek God 79 for $10. Nerdrotic. Use this to buy some really good ice cream, then sit down, enjoy it, and close your Twitter account. But take the advice with a grain of salt from me. Never had a Twitter account. I will be leaving Twitter. I will be leaving Twitter. It doesn't help YouTube at all. And it just hurt. I mean, like, listen, I don't get political on my Twitter. People still come after me. People I used to know come after me and it's disingenuous arguments. They're acting stupid. I know these people aren't stupid. I directly know that some of these people aren't stupid, but I know some of these people are shady. Oh yeah. Yeah. They tend to project the most, don't they? Like, for instance, if you have a crowdfunding book out there that might be Hawaiian based that you haven't fulfilled anything on and you took all that money and you spent it, you might take every opportunity you can to distract from the fact that you ripped off a bunch of people. So you'll take an opportunity and any chance you get to look like the good guy when you really are the furthest thing from it. Yeah. I mean, we all see through that shit. So many talented indie creators, even minorities, who get no attention because they don't play identity politics. Intersectionality is cancer. Attica Ray, that's a great one to end it on for $5. I completely agree with you. It isn't about inclusivity and diversity. It's about your politics and whether you agree with the echo chamber or not. I think everybody in this chat, everybody I've interacted with proves that. You know, listen to people like, again, right during these times is politically what's going on. I've been listening to Eric July. That's who I listen to. And I'll get him on the show soon. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. If I missed any super chats, I'll put it in the super chat square up I'm going to record tonight. I'm going to run and go buy some comics now. Thank you to the Modrotics. Thank you to everyone who's donated to the channel. Thank you to over the 2,600 people who stayed for most of the show. Holy shit. That's awesome. And I will be live again tomorrow on Az's channel, 10 a.m. Pacific time, bagging and boarding with Az. And then Wednesday, the Nooner returns at 12 p.m. and I will still be here. After that, I'm probably going to go home. There is a very special announcement for Thursday. I'm going to wait for that other YouTuber to say it's okay. And I have a very special live stream on Thursday that I think you're going to love. So I'll wait for that very big and talented YouTuber to announce it. In the meantime, all the best to Starry. Ian, I'll be there. I want to talk to Starry anyway. And I will see you guys in the next live stream. Be good to each other. Oh, we got one last minute here. Hang on. There's only one doctor left now. There's only one doctor left to us. Peter Cushing. Ha! Oh, they'll go after him too for £2. Peppermint oil capsule. Thank you very much. Attica Ray, Trek God 79, all the Modrotics. Not all who wander are lost, and may the wings of liberty never lose a feather. And do not let the mainstream media, the access media, or Hollywood divide us. We got to put our foot down. We got to put a stop to this. And if it means walking away and making our own shit, now's the time. Take care.